Well, shit, NXT gave us a lot to talk about tonight, didn't they? Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's Pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your NXT review for February 6th, 2019. You guys know the drill by now, so if you give me a minute, I'll get through the house cleaning. Q&A just went up for Royal Rumble weekend, even though it was, you know, really late past Royal Rumble weekend. A couple of topical videos just hit my channel as well. Please go check them out. One of them is Nia Jax. You know, I called the video Nia Jax, the body count continues. I don't think there's much more of a fitting name than that. Also, a little bit of fantasy booking about how WrestleMania could get us to 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsemen. A little different take on how we get there than I think what most people are saying, so please go check that out if you wish. For those of you in the GTA specifically that are interested in Destiny wrestling, I'm doing little news break type videos as matches are announced for their next pay-per-view, The Ritual, which is February 23rd. It's going to be really good. Channing Decker versus G-Raver and Shotzi Blackheart versus Paige's mom, among other things sure to be announced. The other thing, most of you know by now, some of you know by now, I don't know how many of you know by now because I don't think YouTube is pushing the notifications through properly, but I have been playing around a little bit with the YouTube Premiere option. I did the Premiere for the topical videos. I've been, you know, experimenting with it with some of my reviews as well. I don't know that I'm going to be doing premieres in any sort of predictable way other than NXT on Wednesdays, because you know, NXT UK, I get out to you guys whenever I can. Topical videos happen whenever they happen. But sort of the crux of this channel recently has been the NXT reviews. That's why I use the NXT reviews to give you guys the house cleaning, the updates, etc. So what I'm going to do, what I'm going to try and do, is make it a concrete thing. The NXT reviews go live on the Premiere thing at 10 o'clock my time. Now, I'm shitty with time zones, so if you're listening to this in another time zone, the easiest way for me to say this is that NXT review will go live on Premiere 1 hour after the end of NXT. I hope you guys will join. I know a couple of you have. I've gotten a couple of positive responses. That's really great. It's a new thing. I'm trying it out. That's all I can really say. I think it's kind of cool to interact with you guys as you're watching me. If it doesn't really take off, you know, huge gangbusters, I might not keep doing it. I might go back to regular uploads. But for right now, NXT proper, not NXT UK, reviews are going to go up Wednesday night at 10 p.m. or 1 hour after NXT goes off the air. Now, as I said in the intro, there's a lot to talk about tonight. At the same time, how much actually happened today? A couple of really cool things happened, but it wasn't a lot. We started out with the new NXT North American Champion, Johnny Gargano, who came out to basically a John Cena entrance where it was a dueling Johnny Champion, Johnny Sucks, Johnny Champion, Johnny Sucks thing. Now before, two little points I wanted to talk about before I get into Gargano's little segment here. Two things that I just find really interesting and really positive for NXT. First of all, is the NXT North American Championship has a pretty good lineage to it already. If you consider that the first champion was Adam Cole, much deserved at the time. Next was taken over by Ricochet, who gave us absolutely fantastic matches. Now it's passed on to Johnny Gargano, where I think Gargano is going to add something to the title, whereas the other two, it might have been the other way around. The other side of that coin is how good a weekend did Johnny Gargano have Royal Rumble weekend. He became new champion. He saw his wife debut in the Women's Rumble. He debuted in the Men's Rumble, and then he took part in the halftime heat thing the following weekend. So it's a really good time to be Gargano right now. As the fans chant Johnny Champion to him, he says Johnny Champion has a nice ring to it. For years, I know you've all been on this journey with me, and he's being very sarcastic. Johnny Wrestling is back. We get more dueling chants. We get "You deserve it, no you don't" chants, which are really good. Ciampa comes out and basically does what Charlotte Flair is doing on NXT with Becky right now. He says, I'm not here to steal your moment. I'm here to celebrate with you. You succeeded because you finally followed my lead, and now look at you. Now we own the world. This has always been our dream. We're going to be side by side taking over the world. This is our moment, speaking very, very plural. Even the crowd starts chanting DIY when Gargano is like, no, 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 no. There is no us. This is not our moment, and I never have and I never will need you. As they're about to argue, Velveteen Dream comes out and tells them that these guys are being cute. Isn't it cute that DIY are champions once again? But it's not about you guys. I just stole TakeOver just by showing up. Which is kind of sad, really. I mean, don't get me wrong, TakeOver was great, and I had a lot of fun renaming it TakeOver Spaz Phoenix. But the end of the show was really just done as a precursor to the halftime heat thing. Now, the halftime heat match was great. And them coming up live from the Performance Center was a really unique atmosphere. Shawn Michaels being on commentary was great, but it was a one-off spot, and they used the entire ending of a pay-per-view to set up that spot, and that it served its purpose. I'll say that, but I don't know how well that sits with me. It's sort of like you guys that have been with me for a long time. You know how I feel about the John Cena versus The Miz match at the WrestleMania, where I felt like the entire ending of that WrestleMania was a commercial for the next WrestleMania, and I thought that was really cheap. I'm a little biased, I'm a fan of The Miz, but he was the champion. He went in the champion, he came out the champion. He beat John Cena in the main event, and he was such an afterthought, it was ridiculous. I don't think this is that bad, but it's on the same wavelength. Johnny Gargano is listening, and Ciampa is listening, while Dream goes on and says, while you guys were having your fairy tale ending at TakeOver, I won the World's Collide tournament, and I get a shot at whatever title I want. Stares at Ciampa. This is another weird thing. Stares at Ciampa's title, and then sort of brushes him off and says, no, 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 you don't deserve to be in the same spotlight as me. Continues down the rampway into Johnny Gargano's face, says, I want you. Now, that's great. That sets up Dream versus Gargano, which is fantastic, and I'm sure it will be fantastic. But it sort of puts a little bit of shade on the NXT main title, doesn't it? That the guy that could have whatever belt he wants would go for the mid-card title instead. I don't think there's anybody out there right now that would rather face R-Truth or Bobby Lashley than face Brock Lesnar or Daniel Bryan on any given pay-per-view at any given time. I just don't. Again, it's fine. Ciampa's got his own thing going on. Gargano versus Dream is a thing. He stares down Gargano, and we go forward with this segment in a second. But I think that really, it put a little shot towards the NXT main title, and I don't know that that's a good thing in the long run. Gargano looks him up and down. It's very, very funny to see Gargano like trying to talk down to him while looking up at him. But he says, while you sat out TakeOver, I became a champion. I debuted in the Royal Rumble. I'll face you. Sure, why not? But I'll win. And then we get a he gets the question, rather, am I going to get Johnny Wrestling or Johnny Jackass? And then he leaves the ring, and it's all fine and it's all well. Later on in the night, obviously, we do get that match confirmed, and it is happening in 2 weeks. Now, I'm not going to get into spoiler territory here, but the spoilers for this match are out there, and there's a lot of reports that they recorded 2 different endings to this match so that the spoilers wouldn't get out. Now, I don't think that works in the way that they want it to. I think that's going to very much work in the sense of we're going to see both endings. The fans are going to choose which one they want, and we're no longer tuning in to see a match. We're tuning in to see which one they went with. I get where they're coming from, and I get it's a pre-tape show. You can't help spoilers from getting out, so giving everybody a little bait and switch, filming 2 different endings and making everybody still guess as to which ending is actually going to happen is great. But in those spoilers, we're just going to hear both endings, and we're still going to have one spoiled and one not. I don't really know what to make of that, and I don't even know if it's true. I've only heard it, tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend type thing. But if that is the case, I don't think it's going to work as well as they want it to. So a lot of really weird things, especially Dream passing up the main championship just because he doesn't want to give Ciampa any more spotlight. Well, Ciampa's in the spotlight. Ciampa has been one of the best things on NXT for a while. Somebody said something to me while we were in the crux of the halftime heat thing, and it really is true. If you go back to the days when Paul Heyman used to book SmackDown, he had the SmackDown 6. It was Edge, Guerrero, Angle, Chavo. I think you had the world's greatest tag team in there somewhere, along with Brock Lesnar as his headliner, and these other 6 guys below. I think the halftime heat show really sort of accentuates the fact that NXT really has their own version of the NXT 6, because other than these guys, and I mean, you got new guys like Matt Riddle and Keith Lee who aren't really main eventers yet, but other than these 6 guys, who's your main event on NXT? Now, I'm not saying that that's necessarily a bad thing. I'm just going to say that we're going to cycle through every combination of these 6 guys, and while we're doing that, you know, push your Matt Riddle, who we're going to talk about in a minute, push your Keith Lee, other things like that going forward, or do a little bit more crossover with UK, I'm really not sure. But that sort of NXT 6, and I don't blame them. Look at the 6 guys we're talking about. Gargano, Ciampa, Adam Cole, Bebe, Aleister Black, Velveteen Dream, and Ricochet. You don't have anybody better than them, but you have people that you could make as good as them. I mean, don't always try to like be the better, but at least be on par. Because as much as we don't like think people lost my train of thought again. Sorry about that. As much as we don't like people going to the main roster, these people are going to go to the main roster. I'm terrified what they're going to do with Aleister Black and Velveteen Dream, but the rest of them, Gargano, Ciampa, Ricochet, and Cole, especially if Cole brings the Undisputed Era with him, they will be fine. Adam Cole will take on whatever the next big faction is. I'm terrified we're gonna get the Undisputed Era versus the New Day. Like, that kind of terrifies me a little bit, but all those other guys are going up. Velveteen Dream and Aleister Black are going to get fucked when they go to the main roster, are they not? But the fact remains they're going to go, is my point. So have your NXT 6, but start looking at who your next NXT 3 or 4 or 5 are. Because they're there. They're fucking great. Look at guys like that we're not really focusing on too much right now. Guys like Humberto Carrillo. Guys like Keith Lee, who I don't think really have a storyline yet. Matt Riddle, who has to do something else now, because apparently we got rid of Cassius Ohno. So I'll call that a win, because I really don't care to see Cassius Ohno on my TV. Jackson Riker of the Forgotten Sons taking on Mansoor. Now, they made a big deal about this being Mansoor's debut on NXT, and then they proceeded to squash him, which is fine. Collar and elbow tie, and Riker rakes the face, high knees, trio O, clubs to the chest, hard Irish whip, one forearm by Mansoor, but a mid-air spear by Riker leads to the choke bomb and the win, and because he's a big, bad, nasty heel, hits him with another choke bomb after the match is over. Now, this is where we get with those Ryback-esque pushes. You want to have this guy going up against people much smaller than him that we don't really know. It's fine. This is what he does, etc., etc., etc. But A, I need to see him up against somebody that's going to actually pull something out of him. And B, he's supposed to be the leader of this group, and his minions are already having more... what's the word I'm looking for? They're already having more compelling matches than he is. Now, they're in the tag team division, which automatically puts them in the mid-card. But, I mean, Riker's not anywhere near the main event, is he? Point being, his minions are having more... oh, my Christ. Can't think of words today. They're having more compelling matches than he is, and that could be a bad thing going on down the line. We have a shot in the back of Ricochet, and he's doing some random photo opportunity, and the chick... I'm sorry to say, but one of the interchangeable interview chicks in the back is waiting to have an interview with him, but Adam Cole, almost said Michael Cole there, that's what kind of tired night I'm having. Adam Cole interrupts with the entire Undisputed Era behind him, talks about how Ricochet is a one-trick pony, and if you want to really talk about somebody, why aren't you talking about me? Adam Cole is this generation's Shawn Michaels. Why wouldn't he come out and say something like that? Ricochet calls him on it, and he says, yeah, you know, you want me to be in the back of the line for the North American Championship, but aren't I the one that beats you? Throws out a challenge to him that Adam Cole readily accepts, and we find out that we're going to get that match next week. Adam Cole versus Ricochet next week, and then Gargano versus Dream the week after. We got 2 awesome main events to look forward to, because NXT is good like that. Now, we see Drew Gulak entering the arena. We talk about, or sorry, entering the Full Sail. in the parking lot, whatever, they do that entry shot like they just showed up, which I don't understand why they do, because they didn't just show up. I don't know why they do that. But they refer to him as, you know, the guy that tried to clean up 205 Live, make it a no-fly zone and all that sort of thing, which is really, really, really lame. And then he comes in to make his, I guess, his NXT debut, says he's going to clean up NXT, and then he's taking on Eric Bugenhagen. Now, what the fuck was this guy? Other than the fact that Bohemian Rhapsody just came out in the theaters a little while ago. It's the only reason I can understand why this guy has the gimmick that he has. He's got the mustache and the really flary attire, and he's doing the really, really high rock and roll notes as he's wrestling. And what bothers me about this is one of those guys that right now I'm going to sit here and say into this camera that you're watching me on right now, what the hell is this? But talk to me again in 3 or 4 weeks and I'll probably love it. That's just how shit like this goes. But Drew Gulak looks at him, sort of like, what the fuck, takes him down, and there's some awkward screaming by Eric during the match, which is weird. Dropkick by Gulak and a springboard mudhole stomp, slam on the ropes by Gulak, a snap vertical suplex into a headlock, a corner spear by Eric and an abdominal stretch, and while he's got him in the abdominal stretch, he's playing air guitar on his ribs. Gulak breaks out, puts him in the Gulak, quick tap out. And then he gets on the microphone. So he grabs the microphone after the match is over. He says, I go all over the world representing 205 Live, making it a safe show, making it a better place, rah. I've never been more disrespected than I have here at NXT tonight. Why am I here fighting Ben Stiller from Dodgeball? Which was really funny. Basically puts out a challenge to anybody in NXT that actually wants to fight him. And Matt Riddle comes out. He says, you know, you're here talking shit about NXT, but NXT is what sets the bar. You need to leave now or I'm going to make you tap out. Drew Gulak, honestly, and I don't give him credit for much, but he's got the line of the night with take off your flip-flops and make my day. We get Drew Gulak versus Matt Riddle, which is the technical wrestling match I never knew I wanted. This was more intense and more real. I know that's a funny word to use in wrestling, but it's more intense and more real than anything we've seen in a long time. Collar and elbow tap and a single leg by Riddle into an arm bar, heel hook and a headlock by Gulak and a slam by Riddle, chicken wing by Gulak, a series of leg sweeps and a headlock by Riddle, figure 4 headlock by Gulak as a reversal, sort of, you want to put me in a headlock, I'll put you in a figure 4 headlock. It's pretty close to the anything you can do, I can do better, which is great. Running kick to the face and a senton by Riddle, drop kick by Gulak, who ties up both arms in the face, side headlock by Gulak, turns it into a shoulder tackle and another straight up headlock. Surfboard stretch with a post by Gulak, puts the knee into the spine, turning the arms in from the surfboard stretch into a double armbar, which is nice. Puts it back into a proper headlock and works the fingers. Snap suplex by Gulak. Both men trade palm strikes, which seem like they just cave in your fucking chest, wouldn't they? Cradle suplex by Riddle, a dragon screw by Gulak, a sleeper by Riddle, and a deadlift German suplex. Armbar by Gulak, strikes and chops from both men. A deadlift powerbomb by Riddle, followed by a knee strike and the bro mission for the win for Riddle. And they have this really, really somber, nice show of respect handshake thing afterwards. And I thought it was going to be one of those things, because Gulak's a heel. Handshake, and then Riddle goes to wave at the crowd, and then he gets blasted in the back of the head with something. They didn't do that. They left it on the respectful handshake. And other than in the tournaments, like the Mae Young Classic and the CWC, they don't do the respectful handshake thing that often, so it still does stick out. What I've said about this match, the little blurb, the little set of notes that I just basically read out to you guys right now as to what happened in this match, does absolutely no justice to this match. If you like ground technical wrestling, which is not always my cup of tea, because for some people it's not that exciting, but in this case, I will say, fucking go and watch this match. As fun as the main event was, and we're going to get to that in a second, go back and watch this match. If you don't watch anything, don't watch the Bugenhagen, you know, screamo rocker guy thing. I mean, you can even skip the promos at the beginning, because basically all you really need to know is we're getting Gargano versus Dream, we're getting Cole versus Ricochet. I could just tell you that, and you could get excited. Go watch this match. Somebody's going to say, Drew Gulak, what the fuck is he doing on NXT? Which I kind of do too. Not gonna lie, Matt Riddle, like I say, has to do something because Cassius Ohno is apparently gone, which is fine by me. Go back and watch this match. I promise you, you won't regret it. And our main event, 3 of the 4 horsewomen taking on the Sky Pirates and Bianca Belair. Now, I will say, I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I just did a fantasy booking video about how we get to WrestleMania with the 4 horsewomen and how we get the 4 horsewomen against the 4 horsewomen after WrestleMania. I'm not going to give away too much of that video. Go check it out if you want to, but I will say that all 6 of these women, they factor into that fantasy booking a lot. Please go check it out. I don't do fantasy booking all the time, and that's not going to be any sort of regular thing, but I did just get stricken by a thought, and I went with it, and I just came up here with pretty much no notes and rambled for a bit, so I hope you guys check that out if you choose to. But Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair taking on Shayna Baszler, Jessamine Duke, and Marina Shafir in our main event. Baszler and Belair start, which is, you know, following up on their match at TakeOver, which is nice. Baszler works on the arm, Belair reverses, I should say, and they mentioned it on commentary as well. Belair had a pretty cool thing going on with her gear. Because it is Black History Month, she had photos of various African-American people of color throughout American history and the things that they've done or whatever. I will not stand up here in any sort of historical capacity to lend credence to the meaning of Black History Month because it's not my place to do so, but I do think it was really cool that she got to express that in her gear tonight. I thought that was a really, really nice touch, but it did sort of foreshadow who was going to win the match, didn't it? Let's be real for a second. Baszler and Belair start. Baszler works the arm. Belair reverses. Dropkick by Belair. Chicken wing facebuster by Belair, which is, you know, there's things that she does in the match that are part of the match, and there's things that she does in the match that are, I'm going to do this just because I can, and there's nothing wrong with that. I do like that. As I always say, I like Belair. I think she's amazing in the ring, even though her gimmick sucks, even though there's a lot about her character work, whatever, that I'm really not on board with. I do like her in the ring, and the things she does in the ring are fantastic. So, Belair tags in Sane, slams Sane onto Duke with a modified sort of elbow drop thing, headlock by Sane, high knees by Shafir, chops by Sane and a back elbow, double team by the Sky Pirates, which is pointed out on commentary. It's like, aren't they supposed to be the good guys? Isn't only one of them legal? Headlock by Sane, headbutt by Sane. That is legitimately what my notes say. Why can't I get those words out of my mouth? Toss from the top by Shafir. Baszler works on Sane's ankle and hits her with forearms to the back. They do work on Sane's back for a long time in this match. Baszler works on the ankle, then goes to the back. Corner shots by Duke and a kick to the spine. Snapmare by Shafir and a mudhole by Baszler, followed by another shot to the back. A single leg crab by Baszler, still working the back. Dragon sleeper by Shafir, still working the back. Jawbreaker by Sane finally gets her to the corner to the hot tag to Io Shirai, who hits drop kicks on everybody. Double knees, a 619. I swear to God, on commentary, they're trying their hardest not to call it a 619. They're calling it whatever it's actually called. But you are saying this to a WWE audience, and you are making reference quite a bit to the fact that she is inspired by Rey Mysterio. So just, I know there's a proper name for it, but cut to the chase in this case. If you're going to harp so much on how Rey Mysterio was a big inspiration to her, and you're going to harp on that fact a lot, which is fine. Rey Mysterio is as good a person as any if you're going to be a high flyer and, you know, you want to get inspiration from somebody. But you're talking to you're talking to a very specific demographic of the WWE audience, but you're still talking to a WWE audience. If you're going to tell us that this girl was inspired by Rey Mysterio, just call it the 619. It is what it is. Springboard dropkick by Shirai and an insane elbow by Kairi Sane. Belair steals a tag because Sane goes to tag in Shirai, but Belair steals the tag, hits the kiss of death for a near fall, and that's basically all we see from her. We get a crossbody on Duke and Shafir by Sane on the outside, while Io Shirai hits a moonsault on Baszler for the win. Couple things here. Belair, after this match is over, looks really, really pissed off at her partners, even though they won, because she snuck her way into the match and thought she was going to steal that victory for herself, which is really lame. She's upset that they won, but she didn't win, but she's on their team, so she won. B, Mauro Ranallo on commentary is sure to tell us that not BELAIR, but Io Shirai and Kairi Sane are both the only ones to have pinfall victories over Shayna Baszler, which is telling a really cool story going forward, because I would really like to see Io Shirai and Kairi Sane move on as a tag team. Again, go check out the fantasy booking if you want to know why. But if you're going to do Io Shirai versus Shayna Baszler, like if we're going to harp on the fact that she's only the second person to ever pin Baszler, I got to imagine somewhere down the line, whether it's on an episode of NXT or hopefully at TakeOver New York, maybe, perhaps, let Io Shirai take on Shayna Baszler. I think that'd be a fantastic match. I mean, it's straight out of the Mae Young Classic, I think, isn't it? I mean, at least you got one person that came close. You got the two, actually, what the hell am I saying? You've got the two runners-up of the two Mae Young Classic tournaments going against each other for the NXT title. That's a really cool story in and of itself. But, really cool show. The 3-on-3 match was great. The Riddle versus Gulak match, like I say, go back and watch it because you missed something really special. Next week, we've got Ricochet versus Cole. In 2 weeks, we've got Gargano versus Dream. You guys can go check out my fantasy booking of the Horsewomen. You can check out me absolutely taking the piss out of Nia Jax. Check out the Q&A. Check out the stuff about Destiny if that's your cup of tea. I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there. Talk down there. Start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later. But for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.